Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Andrew Silvernail joins us here. He's the CEO of International Paper. IP is the ticker. Put it into your Bloomberg terminal. He joins us here in our Bloomberg Interactive Studios. The fact that you're in our studio makes me believe that you had an investor day recently.
We
yesterday.
did. Yeah, we had an investor day yesterday. Great
What
day.
was the theme of the investor day today that you had yesterday?
Yeah, transformation.
Okay.
It's really about the transformation. I heard it in the opening talking about International Paper. Of course, it's in our name, and so people think global paper. And the reality is we're a packaging company now. So almost 100% sustainable packaging with the acquisition of DS Smith. North America and Europe, we're number one in both places, and we're focused on the customer and their packaging needs. You mentioned Chewy before.
Yep.
Great customer for us, and a wonderful opportunity to build their branding to help them be successful. That's what we're all about, is transforming into a packaging company.
So something that definitely came up is value over volume. You want to get the most out of what you're doing rather than just the numbers. UPS is doing something very similar, and in the short term, there's a lot of angst and pain kind of around that before you get to that volume, up to that value growth. Talk me through the cycle.
Yeah, so if you think about, we were our own worst enemy. So for years and years and years, we would chase volume at the most inopportune time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we effectively had to do is go back to the marketplace and say, we need to be paid for the value that we're bringing. And that's what we do. We come into the marketplace, we're trying to help you get your goods to the place you want them to be, whether it's fast-moving consumer goods or it's industrial goods. That's what we're trying to help. But we've got to make sure that we're taking care of all of our constituents. And frankly, we weren't. And so we've got to get that value proposition right. I think we've made that switch over the last couple of years. We're seeing that start to play out appropriately, and we're getting paid for the value that we bring.
You're building a state-of-the-art box plant in Waterloo, Iowa. So talk about onshoring. That's big time, $260 million. Talk to us about that investment. What are you trying to do there?
So what a lot of people don't understand about the packaging business, certainly the paper-based packaging business, is all of the business is done within 200 miles, a 200-mile radius of a plant. And because you can't, air is expensive to ship, and so you've got to be close. So we want to be close to our best customers. That's Protein Alley. So that area, there's Protein Alley.
Protein Alley.
Protein Alley.
Really? I hadn't heard that before.
Fantastic. Yeah, think of the beef and the chickens.
Yeah, I had not heard that before.
And so if you think about kind of where protein happens in the United States, from if you think of the South all the way through the Midwest, through there, we want to be close to our customers. We have a great customer relationships. We need a modern facility. We're going to have I think it's going to be the largest facility in the U.S. that does paper-based packaging. And we want to make sure, because we're shipping in from other parts of the country now to service those customers. It's very ineffective, very inefficient. We want to be local, we want to be close, we want to drive customer service and innovation as close to the customer as we can.
International is in your name.
Yeah.
So how are you affected by potential tariffs and every country's shift to nationalism, whatever that way that is? Energy nationalism, goods nationalism, supply chain nationalism. Where do you play, and that has affect you?
Yeah, so we're definitely an international company, principally North America and Europe. We're about 2/3 North America and 1/3 Europe. We don't ship actually a lot across borders, believe it or not. So that doesn't happen. So we're not being impacted directly by tariffs with cross-border trade, but we're impacted by the economy. And so as tariffs impact the economy, that will have an impact of us. So we're watching what's going on, and we see it in our numbers. We've seen the volatility in the last month or so. So we're keeping a close eye on that, but that's really how it impacts us.
What are your customers saying about their outlook for the economy? I would think that you would have a finger on the pulse of that.
I think we do have a pretty good pulse. I think there's uncertainty, if we're fair about that. The last month or two or so, there's been some real uncertainty, and I think while nothing's really happened yet, it's caused people to retrench a little bit and ask, hey, do I want to make that investment right now? Can I hold off on spending money right now and let's see? Look, my belief is these things wash out over time, and we make investments for decades. We don't make investments for quarters or even years. And so we're thinking about investments for the long term.
In terms of, say, hiring labor, how you're managing the business, is it a retrenchment time? Is it expansion? How would you define it for you guys?
Actually, interestingly, it's a little bit of both, right? And what I mean by that
Can you have both?
Yeah, you can,
Okay.
actually. So when you think about that, you have certain parts of your business that aren't as strong or aren't as healthy, and you have other parts that are very healthy. So as an example, Protein Alley, very healthy for us. Let's make investments in Waterloo, Iowa. Let's move let's move people, and let's move investment there. Things that are weaker, things that are struggling, or markets you're not as strong in, you have to retrench. So you have to do both.
What areas are those?
Well, you've got softness in parts of the economy, kind of broad base. You've got to be concerned about things that are going to shrink over time, and things like e-commerce that are strong, things like protein and fresh vegetables, those are strong. You want to move towards those things, and so we want to move our investment towards the parts of the economy that we think are going to expand over time, location and industry, and really grow on those strengths.
So to the extent, if I think about your company, I think about a GDP top line growth story. Is there anything different than that? I mean, that's it. And is your business really about managing the cost and managing to margin?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I mean, yes, you always have to manage your
Yep.
cost, right? But the key thing is you want to align yourself with where growth is.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing. Bottom line, though, is we're going to generally follow the economy. So yesterday in our investor day, we talked about a volume growth that's kind of 1% to 2% that follows underlying volume growth, and pricing power over time that's also about 1% to 2%. So we think we're a 3% to 4% grower over time, the core market. And then that question is, can you align with better growing industries and can you win market share?
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your time here today. Andrew Silvernail, he's the CEO of International Paper. No surprise, the ticker symbol is IP. Log it into your Bloomberg terminal. He joins us here in our Bloomberg Interactive Broker studio. They had their investor day yesterday. The stock's up 45% over the trailing 12 months, so it's had some pretty solid performance.